Sarah and I were always, forever, we were raised in Christian families, accepted the Lord quite early in our lives, and always had a desire, I feel, to serve the Lord. And we often make a commitment when we were young, and then in high school another commitment, and we both had kind of said we would go everywhere, do anything. And yet, as we met at Moody Bible Institute, we were kind of in that path, supportive parents to what we were doing, and that's where we met. And then started a family, moved back home. I became a bricklayer after going to Moody. Some of my fellow students thought, "You crazy, why would you want to be a bricklayer?" But I felt God leading me to do that, so became a bricklayer, and then got busy with church. In my home church, we were serving as Sunday school teachers, choir, on the board, all great stuff, good stuff. We had 2 kids, and then we heard a message from a president of a mission. He said, most people are willing to go, and they will tell you that, I'm willing to go, but they're planning to stay. Their actions say, really, you're staying here. And that was us. New house, 2 kids, busy, busy, busy. How could we go? We're up to here and stuff we're doing. So the challenge of the message was flip it around and say, I'm planning to go, but I'd be willing to stay if the door is closed. In other words, be intentional and say, we're going. We wrote letters, and before you knew it, we were going. God didn't close any doors. He just opened doors. And we have been missionaries now for over 30 years, 12 of them here in Guatemala, and really feel blessed and privileged that God had chosen to use us.
Kids Alive had already been established here in Guatemala when we came, and actually there was an existing site down in San Lucas, but they had plans and they were moving forward with a big new campus facility, which was here. And so we were presented with this option that there was a need here in Guatemala, and that the Ministry of Kids Alive felt that we would be people who could help fill the need to do that. And so that's how we ended up. Our children at that time, we had a junior hire, one just beginning high school, and then our baby, who were still at home with us. And so we made a quick trip. It's important that children are not drug kicking and screaming to do something. It's better if you can have them on board with what you're doing. And so we made a quick trip one June at the end of their school, and came and saw this facilities at CAG. The school had already ended for the year, but just to be in the country in general and see with our eyes what it was like, what the school was, and the ministry, to see it firsthand was a confirmation to us that God was still leading us in this direction. And it was a real blessing for our older son to come. We were not able to come right at the beginning of the school year, and so it was actually the end of October, but Scott had come and begun teaching here, and so he kind of got his feet wet and was able to show us around then and show us how things worked. And so it was just amazing how God smoothed the way in every step of the way, providing a neighbor across the street who was fluent in Spanish and could help us to do all the practical things like ordering gas and all sorts of things that become a problem when you move to a country where you don't understand the language. So
you kind of skipped over the part where our middle son, the 9th grader, he would say stuff to us like, "You think God called you to Guatemala? Well, I haven't heard him tell me that." And that little boy was angry, mad. But I think having our oldest son come here first, and then as we came, I almost thought Brian was going to run away. My dread was, here we are in the line at O'Hare, and I turn around and he's gone. What am I going to do? Am I going to leave the rest of us here and run after him? He stuck with us. And that was our biggest answer to prayer here, is how quickly he loved Guatemala. And a lot of it was due to his class at CAG. He had a great class that just took him in.
I would say to provide a place where parents can be assured that their children's educational needs are taken care of, and in a Christian, in a way that honors the Lord, and to remove that from the plate of things that they also have to that it has to be a major factor to them.
I think when you feel called into missions, you need to feel that the whole family is involved. I couldn't do it if Sarah wasn't with me, and I don't know if we could do it if we had kids that were totally against us and fighting us tooth and nail along the way. So having a Christian school where we are not educators, where we feel the kids can go, we can be involved. CAG is a place where we encourage the involvement of the parents. We have SALT hours, where every parent is supposed to put in 50 hours a year. And if you don't put them in, there's a little penalty where you got to pay. But really, we'd rather have the volunteers than the money. We need the volunteers. We need the parents' involvement. So CAG just provided that assurance for us that we could come to Guatemala, we could minister where God is calling us, but at the same time, our kids wouldn't be falling in the cracks and not getting the education they need.
Some pieces of discipleship that we see that are very encouraging are each child is put in a small group, a discipleship group, and they have opportunities to share each other's lives and prayer, and just so that would be a daily thing. Then several times during the school year they have opportunity to serve. Some service teams have come here to serve, just in a whole variety of ways that open the kids' eyes to things that God is doing in the country that they don't get to see on a daily basis on the campus. And so that's an important part of the program that we really encourage the children to join their classes and have these service projects. Plus, chapels cannot be understated, the importance of their chapel times and the excellent chaplaincy program that the school has that is a well-ordered manner of where the kids can use their gifts if they have musical talent or instrumental talent in leading worship and that sort of thing.
I think one of the great things going at CAG is what they call servant days, where grade school, middle school, and high school are all involved. With the grade school, it might be a couple-hour service mission type deal that they would do at school, or somewhere nearby for a couple hours. Middle school would often come to a site like ours here, where we'd have them be painting, we'd have them be playing games, working with the kids, doing craft projects, different things like that. And I believe the high school kids maybe even go and stay overnight sometimes. They go further out to a ministry that's not in the city, where their servant or commitment time gets to be several days. CAG tries to recruit young people, young adults as they graduate from college to come down and teach school. We also would like to, as an older person, I'm 62, and I think I still have a few years left in me. I'd like to think I do, and that's a great opportunity for someone who back in the States has maybe taken an early retirement. You've got the finances you need. Why not come to Guatemala and serve the Lord here for a couple years as a teacher? You'd have the depth of experience to help the younger teachers. You've got the support already in place. I just think that would be a tremendous opportunity for someone to take advantage of.
Well, prayer support is very important, and what a blessing modern technology is to aid that. We found that personally, especially in sharing the good and the bad times. When Doug was shot, the prayer support made all the difference in the world. The people who we could just feel that were lifting us up to the Lord in prayer, that we were not alone in this, that we were part of a larger family, the Christian family worldwide is so important. So that prayer support, developing supporters who will bring you regularly before the Lord in whatever needs might come up, is a crucial aspect.
Yeah. Gone are the days of when you somehow got yourself to New York City and you got on a freighter and you went across the ocean, and it took months and months and months, and you finally got there and you knew nobody and you learned the language and you stayed there for 6 years, or then maybe you went home for a little bit, or maybe you never came home. Those days are gone. I think nowadays, with ease of travel, you can commit to going to a foreign country, and yet in a matter of a few hours you can be back home on a plane. You can get back to the States when you need to for those important things, but at the same time, the ease of travel nowadays makes mission work so much more easy to happen. Communication with emails and Facebook, and I know when we went through the difficulty of the shooting, I'm sure it was hundreds of churches, thousands of people who knew about it so quick. It just goes out like this, and that's the type of support system that each and every missionary can have, not just us. It's for everybody to use. So that technology is wonderful.
A passion in my heart to serve.
I think I do what I do because it's in my blood. I grew up, my dad was a bricklayer. His dad was a bricklayer. I became a bricklayer, and doing construction work is just in me. Wanting to make a building or make some kind of facilitate a building that will help to minister. I realize that these buildings are not going to last. They're not going to be here. There's a lot of earthquakes in Guatemala. One of them might fall down tomorrow. But to build a building that's a tool then to use to reach kids, to reach people, that's what it's all about. Besides serving in that capacity of working with teams and organizing crews to do projects, my favorite job here is being grandpa on this campus. I'm grandpa to 50 girls who have had a real tough life, and It's an opportunity for me as a male role model, hopefully a good one. They can see that all guys aren't bad. There are some good guys out there, and just the privilege of a hug here, an arm around the girl here. How's your day going? Sometimes it's good, and sometimes there's a little tear in their eye, and they just need a hug. And
that we as Christians in general don't waste our lives and the time that He's given us here on earth.
I've been in Guatemala for 12 and a half years, and just this last year I was elected to the school board. I've always declined in previous years, thinking, oh, I'm busy here, I should really focus on the ministry, and yet this last year I felt, no, I should at least put my name on the ballot, and maybe I can help the school board. So I'm on the school board this year at CAG, and being a part of that board is a real privilege. Working with teachers, working with other staff people, just seeing their level of commitment, their love for the Lord. They're not here because it's a job. They're here because it's a ministry. And their ministry to each kid, my own personal kids, makes it possible for me to be here doing this ministry.